Hey guys, gonna make a combo video for yesterday and today. This is about penny runners. So I was gone most of the day today, so I missed pretty much all the midday action. Took a trade on um, AGFY long, but I got stopped out right at market open right before it ripped. So and then I didn't do anything the rest of the day because sadly I missed NVIV. But we were talking about NVIV, talk about PHUN, talk about penny stocks, right? This was my long. I was really mad about missing the long on this pullback because PHUN had an amazing daily, looked super strong, and also has this kind of Trump pump sympathy factor going on with it, which is a nice bullish factor, right? PHUN, when it first ran uh, a week or two ago, it traded insane volume, right? You can't forget how big that volume was, right? And hey, this might be on a multi-week runner. We don't know. Um, but this was a really clean secondary entry. I almost never make midday long entries like this because um, the odds of them working are really low. But I was super bullish, kind of the context of this play being on a really bullish daily. It was flagging on the daily. Um, and Trump pump, and we had amazing bid support. Also, some bullish factors like you got your deep pullback, right? Your deep pullback, these quick, like look at this. This ends up being the low of the entire day, right? Like imagine what most people are thinking when the stock is right here, right? You just see down, bounce down, right? So like at this moment, everyone's gonna be super bearish. Nobody is thinking the low is here, right? In terms of this pullback. Um, but midday, I always say you have to wait. Um, Midday longs, even if they do work, often take a long time to kind of set the structure and build the liquidity, right? For example, high day here is at like, I don't know, 10:20. These longs are at noon, and it doesn't even break out almost until like 2 p.m., right? So, um, a lot of these plays, like look at these lower highs. Look at this painted resistance level. Like they have to do this over the course of multiple hours to my daughter's right next to me to to build the short liquidity, build the chart paint, so that when they initiate it, they have enough liquidity, to push it to high day. Now, I actually sold most of this at high day, and then I was going to swing the rest of it, but then it showed weakness in the after hours, and I actually sold the rest of my shares. But a big reason of doing this video though is I would say you really have to put penny runners in its own category, right? Penny runners um, trade much differently from low floats. And what we learned in 2023 was that penny runners have amazing continuation, just amazing continuation, right? Um, I do not recommend trying to get, you know, it's like kind of like what we were seeing in December in low floats, where it was really strong, right? We had a bunch of crazy continuation in December in low floats. Pennies are like that, but all the time. Pennies are really like that, but literally all the time. They're one of the most profitable long, um, kind of just long categories there is. Period. It's so amazing. I'm continuously amazed by how much continuation penny runners have. So I mean, I never short pennies. I'm on trade zero, so I can't even short pennies if I wanted to. Um, but even if I could, I still wouldn't. In most situations, I wouldn't like. Why not just go long? You know what I mean? So like, here's the initial parabolic. Hey, let's look at the daily on this, man. So I mean, let's just look at this. So this was here. This is we got our initial pumps, right? They did like a double offering, and now it's bouncing off the 20. This is classic Qualamagi stuff. Bouncing on the 20, starts basing on the 9, forms a nice little range here, at 36.50, and breaks out of that range with volume. I mean, it's a classic. It's a classic flag on the daily, right? Um, in bull markets and stuff, on larger caps, this stuff is strong. This is what Qualibaki trades. And if you just look at the hourly here, maybe zoom out a little bit, right? If we see this part of the pump, we got it's the same stuff we see in low floats, where it's like a deep down only pullback, right? Creates a lot of space up here for this to rotate into. It's a double offering pump. Everyone's trying to catch the big unwind, right? But it's like it's a DWAC sympathy, and hey, man, if the Trump pumps are coming back, then the Trump pumps are coming back. And I always say the best longs are the longs that have a reason, usually have some type of external reason to run, right? Of course, in low floats, there could always be some 300,000 float stock going up 500% or something like that. You know what I mean? But a lot of the best longs are always, um, really kind of like how when you get it, like when the AI theme came along, right? The AI theme came along and plays like BBAI and a bunch of random AI names just had multi-day run continuation, right? Hot theme when the market was like really begging for a hot theme. That's kind of an external factor, right? Trump pump is an external factor. Get them like those are always, remember when God, well, GNS did that naked short. We're going after the naked shorts, and then like up 500 million shares of volume came into the stock, right? The naked short theme. It was a new theme, and it generated that theme generated a ton of volume, and suddenly everyone and their mom was putting out a naked short. PR. We're going after the naked shorts. Um, and of course DWAC when it first pumped back in 2021 was, you know, the the god, the king of external factors, right? The Trump social media SPAC pump, it's just an insane, it's just an insane catalyst. Just thinking about that is insane. Carvana has, in terms of recent pumps, like Carvana had a great story, right? Had a lot going on for it. Um, but yeah, PHUN. We'll talk about NVIV really fast. I wish I could have shorted this. My daughter had an appointment midday, and I was just gone. I was just gone during all this. I actually left right when this was pumping, like right when this was rotating. Um, but penny runners, man, like this stock when it was up here was already up like 200%, like an insane percentage. And people in my Discord, information down below, talked about, hey, this could be a potential clear out short trap, right? I always say don't get baited by these big red exhaustion candles, especially in penny stock land. Like, look at the 1 minute 200 support. But I actually was, of course, we saw high day cloud short traps working a week or two ago, and I was looking for the entry here, but the book on this was really not that amazing. Oh yeah, by the way, here's where I longed um, PHUN from my chart at the beginning of the video. If you're wondering why I long, I love that this was testing support multiple times with huge bids, and also I had a reason to think. A big part of it was I had a reason. I liked this quick pullback, and I liked the external reason that like DWAC was holding up, PHUN was breaking out on the daily. I just thought it was a very rare. Most of the time midday bids like in low floats get sold into, but I thought this had enough factors going on for it that it was a good long. But NVIV, we saw here's a high day clear out here, right? Big dump, lots of empty space. Um, but a couple things I was looking, the high day cloud short trap, you really do want to see two things. You want to see support holding, and this was kind of just like swiping lows, swiping lows. It kept swiping these lows multiple times. So I was like, man, I really want to see like a bidder come in here and start holding this thing up, but I didn't really see any amazing. Like there's a couple bids down lower here, But, I was like, okay, maybe these bids hold. It pushes and there's a follow-up bid, and if I see follow-up bids start to hold, like for example, if there was a massive bid that just showed up right here, I would have had a lot more confidence in going long. But I didn't want to long this here because the problem with even if the chart is possibly setting up for a high to clear out short trap, or for example, it might give a little VWAP swipe or double VWAP bounce and rotate here, right? In order for that to happen, if you're just playing the chart, you can maybe long off this little rotation here and hope it works. But I'm looking at the book and I'm like, man, I see no bid. So it's like I was very hesitant to short not to short just to long this just because I was like, well, the chart looks decent, but the book, um, especially because we're getting this week is end of last week and this week is starting to get really weak, right? We're starting to see a lot of bounces off support, and this has been happening on some of my market open longs and pre-market longs where I get a great structure, maybe some type of short trap. I see the bids. I go long, I didn't do it here, but on the other place, I go long, and then on the pushes, there's no bid follow up, and it ends up being like a decent short, right? Like, look at no bids, and this is a risk with no bids. Stocks can just, if you're thinking short trap and squeeze, well, anytime there's no bid follow up on these pushes, you're risking a 10-20% dump, right? And sometimes they're, this one kind of grinded down like this, but sometimes in low floats, they can, you could get a 10-15% dump in about 5 seconds. You know what I mean? So it's like it's very dangerous to be, um, in a play where there's no bid follow up. But yeah, this was really interesting. My people in my room pointed out where it's like I don't see a whole lot right here, and except for the 1 minute 200, right? The EMA kind of shows up, but this was much more interesting here. Like if you're, I did not have this thesis while looking at this, but you could see them take out this huge ask and immediately replace it with a huge bid that also gets tested multiple times over the course of about 3-4 minutes before rotating. And it's hard to make that read. If you go to the chart, it is really hard to make the read of like, well, maybe this is a high day clear out short trap that's going to rotate off the 1 minute 200 and go like this is really a hard read to make. I mean, it really, really is. And this rotation that we're looking at is the one right, the one right here, right, right here before this green candle comes in. It's hard to make. It's hard to make that read. It's hard to make the read that like this bid is going to hold. This structure is a short trap, and it's going to have insane continuation, right? Um, but ironically, it's because that read is so hard to make is what leads to how massive this squeeze ends up being. And I end up missing most of it, but this structure up here was really interesting. We got our big push, the $1. Um, Everyone's trying to catch the top way too early, even though it's trading in literally insane volume, and it does the classic just dump, no liquidity move, dump again right on 1 minute 20 squeeze. This is a classic squeeze, guys. This is a classic. This is a Momo long. And if we go to the book, I'll pull up the book really fast. Um, Actually, nothing. There was nothing on the book right there. Again, I wasn't here, so I'm actually kind of looking at this with you. Here's the 1 minute 20 support, but actually, I don't really see a whole lot on the book that's like screaming to me that a lot of times they throw up massive, massive, massive bids here, but it looks like they just squeezed everybody. It happens. It definitely happens. But what was interesting, of course, is how the stock actually topped, right? Very, very counterintuitive, right? Where um, you got this extreme support swipe, aggressive push to high days. A lot of times you have to make reads here. Like sometimes, like especially as the stock is squeezing multiple times, right? This is getting quite extended. Um, A lot of times, hey, avoid grindiness. Don't short grindy stuff like this. Wait for the volatility to come in, right? GRR yesterday, I was avoiding this completely just because, I mean, look how just this, like, for example, this move, look how grindy this is. Just grinding like 1 or 2 cents at a time straight up. Like, I hate, give me volatility, right? Volatility is really the best, right? You really just don't want grind, man. Just this grindy, um, these grindy plays. But, what do I call it? Sorry. Let's go back to NVIV. Um, Hey, if a stock is already squeezed high day 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and you're getting stocks up 350%, and you get like some crazy extreme volatility move, um, where it's like a deep 10% support swipe into a 20% squeeze right to highs, like you gotta look at this on the book. I mean, you really, and you gotta decide. These are really the moments. I would have been, if I was here, I would have been so tempted to make a read at high day, which is at 1.05 here, and look at the bid follow up. Look at the bid follow up. Look at the ask structure. Look how the stock is topping, especially how it's filling these asks at high a day here, and make a read. Make a read. You can wait a little bit and try to make a read. You had about. You don't have to do it. A lot of times you don't have to do it right away. From here to here, that's about 45 seconds to make a read about how much it's struggling at highs and what's the bid follow up looking like. You don't have to go in the very first second it's up there, but you can see you know, how it's filling the ask and how it's testing highs and make a decision, right? So, but anyways, yeah, I mean, insane classic rigged move right at the top, and unsurprisingly, I mean, look how much it faded. This is a $1 short, and that's a 50% fade. Pretty insane fade. Too bad I wasn't here for it, but that was definitely one of the more interesting moments. So anyway, um, penny runners. I just want to just drill into your head that, like, penny, whether it's PHUN yesterday or NVIV today, these midday continuations and these hiding cloud short traps and these penny runners with big value. My pennies are in they're in their own category, guys. They really are. Um, and I would recommend you start treating them like they're in their own categories and understand that they have a lot of continuation. So, um, but yeah, I guess the other big one is, potential hiding cloud short trap, but the book just did not support that thesis. There was zero bid follow up on this entire move here, and we ended up getting a crazier, much rarer pattern, later in the day off the 1 minute 200. So, anyway, guys, that's it for today. Information down below about the Discord, and you have a good one. See ya.